we pretty much watched the episodes, quite a few of the episodes. So I did watch it. Uh, so
Right
anyway,
on.
so
Well,
that's
that's going to be our welcome to episode 21 for everyone tuning in live. That's going to be it's going to be our topic du jour. We're going to dive right in because it's Sunday and we got a lot to cover in this time. It's the Sensei and the Dude of IB here. Hope El Jefe del Sonido. Scott is on assignment right now. He's fixing a sound booth, so he'll hopefully get that done. And if he can join us, we'll love to see him. Mike will hopefully be here, so we'll see if he joins us. And Eddie is out on the road right now, actually, in hopefully not in a hurricane, but trying to outrun one that's working its way up the eastern seaboard. So if she can't join us, we'll see if we can go to her live and get an update on what's happening with the weather. So that's the big rundown for this episode. Carlos, it's good to see you, and I see we're both in our man caves or garage caves, whatever, back caves, whatever you want to call them, and things are a little more crowded in there for you now, aren't they? In a good way, right?
Yeah, in a good way. Been riding, for two wheels. You know that I got a tri-glide and riding with the missus, and it's been a blast. And I've been over a year riding with a trike, and riding on a trike has its unique challenges and riding skills. But one day I went up to the missus and said, honey, I really miss riding on those two wheels. And she said, well, go for it. Get what you want, but I'm never going to get on it. Well,
yeah.
When you got that, do what you want. I looked and looked and looked, and 40, 50 bikes later, from 2000 to 2023 to this color, that color, that color. I ended up with a 2016 Road King with 16-inch high bars, 8 hangings, and all black. And it's as many of my colleagues say, yeah, you did that.
Yeah.
And
you mean they were surprised that you got a second bike, or that the type of bike you got?
Yeah, their first reaction was, "Oh, you sold a trike, right?" No, not really. No, the trike is still there. That's for the me, the missus, and when I do my veteran memorials, and it's got all the flag holders. But I said, no, it's another bike. Really? Yeah. And it was an offer that with a our folks can see.
Oh yeah, you can see it.
Let me see. I'm going the wrong way. Here we go.
You got good lighting in there.
Yeah. Okay. Let me see.
Nice.
And what was unique about it, because it really was off the path. Because if you look, there's pretty high, and it's a different riding style when you have apes like that. And I really, as one of the guys said to me, Sensei, you've been riding for many years. Suck it up. You'll learn how to ride, and you'll just jump there.
Yeah, it does look like kind of. They look like high bars for a front end that's not really raked out at all. That's got to feel like you're right on top of the steering a little bit, I would imagine. But
but it's the way it is, the way it's set up. It was just a little bit. I thought, when you look at the picture and you look at it, you suddenly think that your riding style, that your hands are way above your chest, that you're really hanging off like an ape. But in all sense, it really is.
Hi. Oh, shoot.
Oh.
Hold on. Hi. Hold on a sec.
Take your time.
Hi, it's Snail here.
Just check it in from the road.
Oh, shoot.
Yeah, there we go.
Oh, I covered my front camera there.
Great speedometer.
Hi, guys. Hey. Sorry about the impromptu.
What's up?
Presence.
Hey, there she is.
Is Snail on the road riding through a hurricane, I think?
Well, it looks like you're...
Oh, where are you?
Yeah.
Where are you?
Nice.
At a gas in New Jersey.
That's not hurricane country. That's rain country.
Yeah.
Are you headed back to New York?
Yeah, we were just around. We were around Atlantic City area.
Right. Yeah, it looks like it's raining down by the beach. It's been pretty rough
this morning. Huh?
So you rode through the rain this morning?
Yeah, it was raining cats and dogs. It's crazy. A thunderstorm too.
I have the
So-
actually have the I have the weather up, the satellite up in your area right now, and it's I can see that in the Jersey Shore. You can tell it got pounded like pretty much from like
Yeah.
Long Branch south. Looks like it's pouring right
Yeah,
now.
that's where we were.
You got a window of nothing up to pretty much Manhattan,
Yeah.
Yonkers right now. It's clear from there, and it looks like I can't tell which way it's going exactly. I'll see, but you got a little
It's going upwards.
like northeast,
We're
yeah.
sort of like in the eye of it or something.
Yeah, you got a little window of opportunity. That's good. Hopefully it
Yeah.
can dry out.
So I might not be able to do a full
No,
a
please.
full podcast today, but I thought I'd check in since I missed last time. And
Yeah, that's
it's been
awesome.
a while.
Well,
It's good to see you.
Yeah.
Good to see you. You got a smile on your face, and you're drying out. What more do you
I
want?
usually try to look a little bit more put together for the internets, but
You're a
whatever.
biker
Perfect.
chick. What is your
This
problem?
is what I really look like.
Perfect.
Surprise.
Yeah, this is perfect. Can Eddie? I don't want to make you relive a bad moment, but I know I saw your bike had to hit the shop a little bit unexpectedly this
Oh,
week.
Jesus.
At least you're the good news is you're out in the road and back up and running, right?
Oh, yeah. I got a Screaming Eagle clutch on this now. I can hit 80 on third gear.
Woo!
She came back better than before. I have a very good friend, not a dealership, who did me a solid and charged me a fair price for the work that he did.
That's
So-
awesome. Yeah, that's
So
awesome.
Edie,
Yeah.
so you got Screaming Eagle. I got Screaming Eagle. That's
I
it.
love it.
What's the big? What's the? I mean, for somebody who's never felt the difference, what's the thing? What do you notice about shifting?
Man,
with
this
it?
thing takes off like a rocket.
Yeah.
That's why I was a little bit worried when I left yesterday for this longer trip. In the rain, the clutch was first of all really tight.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
it just takes off like a bull,
Yeah.
like a racehorse out of a box, So I was worried about that, about fishtailing, and I just keep it on super high gear. That's one of the things I learned on the Sturgis trip was it's the torque and the high gear in the rain and stuff. But now it's like learning to ride a new bike. I mean,
yeah.
especially like I have
That's the-
blisters all on my hand because of this, all down my fingers because the clutch is so tight.
Oh yeah.
Eddie,
Wow.
Eddie, you made a good point because, as you know, I got it at this 2016 Road King, and let me tell
Yeah,
you,
congrats.
thank you. That clutch and that throttle, when you're lumbering around in a trike, it's like a giant tank.
Yeah.
You're taking the sedan out, the station wagon, you're going over for a ride.
It's not.
Suddenly
It's
you
not
got-
snappy,
suddenly-
right?
Suddenly you got into the Corvette, and you were like, oh! And I found that the throttle control and the clutch, it was like the sales guy said, Sensei, I think you should be careful with that clutch control. What? Whoa. So they adjusted it, and it was, and the challenge with me, the gear shift, my boot didn't fit under the gear shift. So when I had to then shift, I had to like jam my foot into the
Yep.
gear shift and like this.
That's
'cause the
pretty much
gear
what I have.
was-
That's my everyday, pretty much. I got to swing my
but
toe around.
but to be on the safe side, really, take it one or two notches at the most, and raise it because you really
Oh, you can
you don't
adjust
want
that?
to. Huh?
Oh, this is great. I'm just becoming. Hold on. I'm just now becoming. My computer and my motorcycle are now in the same room. So like when I'm looking at something
That's
online
so
and
cool.
I can just turn around and go to my bike. So yeah, I have, as you can see here, I have forward controls, and it's narrow. Like I watched a few videos. I watched this one video of and it was a woman, female rider, and she was just bike similar to mine, kind of 72 style, forward controls, and she had her
New York
foot
City.7
under the shifter. I could
Oh,
never
Queens.
sit with my foot under the shifter.
Yeah.
Is that how you ride?
I've used to use the
just
heel
a-
touch shifter,
Yeah.
use my foot, but I haven't done that on my opening day.
So
So
when
what
you're
I
just
do
when you're
is-
just cruising, where does your left foot sit?
Underneath the gear.
Underneath the gear. Okay. And you have
Underneath the
floorboards
gear.
too.
So that's why I had them adjusted two notch keys.
No, it's all right. I'm just doing a motorcycle podcast right now.
Hey, what's up?
Yeah, we like you
Olden
too.
in the
Yeah.
Way. Check it out on YouTube.
What's up?
Olden in the Way on YouTube. Yeah, check it out. It's fun stuff.
Look at this.
Nice Olden in the Way on YouTube. It's
Getting out and
this is your host,
spreading the word. Hey,
Jay.
hey, how you doing?
Sensei.
Shiny side
Say
up.
hi, Sensei.
Hello. How you
Talk
doing?
about motorcycles every Sunday at 3 p.m. Please do.
Right on, guys. Right safe.
Yeah, be
Thank
safe, guys.
Woo!
It's bye.
Hey, let me ask you guys a question. When you
Yes.
go someplace like you guys live in a city, so this is kind of a redundant. Like I was going to say, if you go to a city or a crowded area, but the same thought applies. How do you secure your bike? What do you do? Like, what exactly do you do when you like? If you wouldn't mind, like, what's your checklist? How do you keep your bike secure?
Huh. Who starts? Because my answer is very short.
Yeah,
her
no, go
answer's
ahead.
gonna
That's
be
what I
very-
want to hear. I'll tell you
I
mine
lo-
too.
I
I will
lock my-
share
My
mine.
answer's gonna be different
I
from
love
mine.
the
so-
handlebars.
You lock the handlebars, obviously.
And I take the key out.
Yeah. Do you have any bags that lock or anything like that you need to lock up?
Not anymore. I got the saddlebags off this thing. Check it out. Well,
Nice.
I mean, it's packed now.
Clean.
She's lean and mean again. I'm not a male woman anymore.
Yeah. What about do you have anything you take off of it, like mounts or holders or anything when you leave?
Nothing.
Okay.
Just my phone.
Okay, so
off
you lock your bike, you lock the bars. Carlos, what about you?
Nope. I most of the time I'm traveling with a crew of people. That's number one. Number two, even when I'm by myself, I don't really give it much. I just turn off ignition lock. I do that. That's about it. I
Yeah.
don't even
Yeah.
do. I don't even do fork lock. I don't chain it.
Yeah.
I don't. With the trike, you don't do anything. With this one, I've started doing. Only because it's just easier to rob.
Yeah.
So I do
Yeah.
do the ignition lock, but that's about it. I don't carry. I'm not going to carry a heavy duty chain or anything
right.
like that. So
So that's
Yeah,
pretty
I'm-
much the same place. That's where I'm at. I have I have hard shell saddlebags that lock, which I'll lock if I'm in a city or something like that. But I've been going into downtown San Diego, which is about a 20-minute, 15-mile drive north of where I live. Easy to get into. But I've been going in on Friday nights, and which is a whole other story because the place I go is right in the heart of like San Diego's party district. So it's always a fun night trying to get out of there on your bike when there's drunk people on the sidewalks. But this guy walks up to me Friday night, and he's a probably guy my age, British sounding dude, a tourist or whatever. Looked like he stepped out of the comedy club to smoke a joint. And he comes up, he talks to me, and he was very polite, but he eventually got around. I'm trying to get off my bike. I'm trying to get on my bike at this point and get out of town. And he started to ask me lots of questions like people do, and that's a whole other conversation. But he asked me eventually, he's like, I hope you don't mind me asking this, but how do you come into it's chaos in the city. He's like, how do you park here and like know your bike is going to be safe? And the first thing I said is, well, I park in front of an Irish bar, in between an Irish bar and a comedy club when I go into the city. And there's two bouncers that sit outside of there. There's street seating. So like part of me is common sense. Like there's people around, and if they see somebody fucking with a motorcycle, they might say something. Maybe not, but it's a hope. And then what I basically told the guy was like, I don't really do much of anything. I lock up my stuff and hope for the best. And he said, well, what if two people just pick it up and carry it away? And I said, well, that's actually quite common. It happens, quite a bit. But I have an insurance policy, and I got suckered into something at the dealership where I have a policy over and above my insurance where if my bike gets stolen, I get $5,000 cash, no questions asked.
Wow.
Yeah, I'm paying for it. It's an insurance policy, but then I also have regular, vehicular insurance. But I thought it was an interesting question because it made me think and he was really cool about it. He's like, I don't want to jinx you. And he was like, I'm sorry to bring this up, but he's like, I'm really curious how you keep it safe.
But you know what? It's knowing your environment.
Yeah.
It's knowing your area. I mean, I've gone many places, If I thought that most of the time, 9 times out of 10, I'll leave my helmet on the top. I'm not. You want to take my funky helmet, knock yourself out.
Yeah.
I don't care.
Yeah.
But is there going to be somebody who's going to take my gloves or my helmet?
A crime
what
of
the hell?
opportunity. Yeah, there's a lot of
Yeah,
sketchy people.
Stuff like that. Now, other times, I parked the trike because it's got more carrying space. And I've said, okay, gonna walk around. Let me lock everything up. I have the compartments there.
Yeah.
If you can steal this, take anything off, and God bless you, because either that, the thing's gonna run you over anyway.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it all depends on the environment, really. I would just leave my helmet on there and say, you know what, nobody's gonna mess with
and
that.
this is not because I'm that guy. I'm this guy, or I'm not. I'm the least threatening person you're gonna meet. But part of me did think, and I didn't say this out loud, but part of me thought, like, I think if you see a chromed out motorcycle with a flame tank parked on the side of the road, I think most people unconsciously think, I'm not going to touch that out of fear. It's not like seeing a Honda Civic.
I
like,
agree. I agree.
Yeah, I'm not that person, but they think like whoever drives that might be right around here and ready to kill me if I touch it.
I think that's what's protected my bike a lot, because
yeah,
I've treated my bike so shitty, and it looks like something from Mad Max at this point.
That's awesome though.
I feel like people don't really they don't know who's riding it. If I saw this bike on the side of on the sidewalk, or parked, I wouldn't mess with it, because it looks like somebody who really doesn't give a shit.
I appreciate. I was really curious. This guy asked that question, and it really made me think. So I appreciate your answers. Before I move on, we get on to American MC.
I'm gonna need to go soon. By the way, guys,
that's no problem.
The storm is coming.
Get moving.
Eddie, give us your update of whatever you want to share right now.
Yeah, and
Tell
you
us
get
the
moving.
good, the bad, and the ugly in about 5 minutes.
I 1 week ago. I'm done.
How many minutes?
No. All right. I was almost gonna buy a Triumph last week, but I'm back on a Harley.
Okay. All right. So
all right, you came back to the dark side.
Well, listen, ride safe, shiny safe up.
Thank
all
you.
the best to everybody there. Right on. We'll talk
to
to
you guys. It's nice to talk with you guys again, and next week I'll be back.
All right, on Eddie. Cheers. Have a good one. Ride safe.
Thank you too. Ride safe, guys.
Take care.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.
Yeah, that's got to be, the rain is not something that that I look forward to, or that I even seek out, but she's going hard.
It's interesting, this young lady, I saw her when she came into the hot chapter, and it's interesting, as the old guy again, the OG there, that has seen her grow from being a passenger on the back of one of my buddy's bikes, to grow, blossom. They went their separate ways. She continued to grow. She developed. She liked riding, and she went out independently to get her own ride and pursue it. And the passion, it's just great to see her still go. It's not intimidated by anything, which is great for our female listeners, that you can do it. It is possible, and to just grow from that. And
not only has I'm sorry, go ahead, finish.
No. And it's just super to see her grow from that environment to now being totally fearless. Here she is riding with Screaming Eagle. Yeah. Most times, you can knock yourself out there. I mean, me as an experienced rider, I had to, my motto is always respect the machine. The machine will respect you.
Know your limits.
So take it easy. Don't get cocky, play with it. And now I'm now finally getting the comfort, and she has really developed. So it's kudos to her.
Not really only has she done it, that this is, they're this, in the culture of motorcycle riding, and especially Harleys, Sportsters, we like to joke, Sportsters get, they're the kind of the Honda Civic of the Harley line. They get a bit of, they get picked on it by the bigger bikes, and I'm saying all this jokingly, by the way. And a lot of people will tell you, you only bang around town on these things. They're not good for anything else. Not only has
bar
Eddie
hopping,
conquered it,
yeah,
exactly. But here's a rider who's gone back and forth to Sturgis, back and forth to the Harley home office in Milwaukee, up and down the eastern seaboard, all on a Harley 883 with no windshield fairing. Or any other aftermarket, besides the new Screaming Eagle clutch, any other aftermarket parts that would give you a touring advantage. So she's just out there on a blacked out 883, while you're spending $40,000. I don't mean you. I mean somebody's spending $40,000 on a CVO. She's doing it on an 883. So there's something to be said for that.
Yeah, no, you're right. A good friend of ours in the chapter, she just celebrated, and she announced in the chapter, I think it was 20 years with her Sportster.
No shit. Same bike?
Huh?
Same bike?
Same bike.
Yeah, wow.
she's on Facebook, and she posted it on to show that here I am back 20 years ago. There she is, nice, cute, young, buying her first bike, the Sportster, and that thing through thick and thin, bad, good, worse, separation, yada yada yada, life's troubles. And there she posted a big placard of here 20 years later. She
Wow.
still has the bike. She did get herself another, trying to think either a street glide or a road glide, that used bike. But I said, and what happened to the old baby? Oh, no,
Still
I'm
got
not
it.
letting that one go. So it still lives on, My
Can you
friend
send me
still has
that
his
link?
80
I want to see
my
a
friend
picture.
my friend still has his 883 that he rode from New York to Alaska to the Arctic Circle. So
Yeah, that is a picture I want to see. So can you send me the link to either or both of those? I want to see the pictures
Yeah.
of bikes. I am as you know, a Sportster aficionado enthusiast here. So I want to see that. And one of the things that I saw Instagram picture meme yesterday that was one of those me at trying to fill up my bike or gas up as a homeless guy with a lit cigarette stands over my shoulder telling me about the time he rode to Sturgis on a 71 Kawasaki or something like that. I'm like, yeah, I love that guy.
talk about, and I know we're splitting all off, but
yeah, that's all right.
I'm in amazement of like Edie, what she's doing. It's not quite iron butt, but there's one woman that really, a couple of women that come to my mind that were similar to the Jordy and MJ. While they are true, real love to ride, they're not iron butt people per se, in the sense of iron butt people have the fascination that we have to do 1,000 miles
It's
in
very, it's like number and target driven.
Yeah. They know, like, this is the way they see the world.
Right.
Like that,
yeah.
And they don't care. It's like Indianapolis 500. They jump off the bike, go pee, have something to drink, an energy bar, and keep on going. And these folks that have done these 1,000, it's just amazing how they end up doing this iron butt type. So what I was trying to say is tomorrow, like for example, a good buddy of mine, talk about this. Now, he had asked anybody to join him, and I hesitant to join him. He's going to do a memorial for the 9/11 because tomorrow being 9/11.
Yes.
He wanted to bring attention to it. He wanted to bring awareness and raise funds for it for the Tunnel to Towers Foundation. So this guy's asking people to meet him at 3:00 in the morning on a rest stop on the Long Island Expressway. And from there, they have to ride. They have to ride 2 hours to the end of Long Island to Montauk Point Lighthouse.
Okay.
Number 2. So now that you just did,
so you're at Montauk by what? 5 a.m. probably.
Then the goal is to leave Montauk Point Lighthouse, which is the end of Long Island, at sunrise, and then to ride straight into Manhattan.
Oh man!
Right from there to visit the firehouse of the members that lost all its crew, pay respects there. Now, most of the people will leave him. He's continuing his journey then to Shanksville, Pennsylvania, and pays respects there. And in that same breath, as he's going to go up to the Pentagon.
Holy shit!
Pay his respects there, and then come looping back.
How many miles is that total?
I'm sorry?
How many miles is that total? Do you know?
You know what? It just hurt to think about.
I know, God. When I was like, at Shanksville, I could see myself like, yeah, you're running on adrenaline by the time you get through Manhattan. You'd say you could drive anywhere, right? By the time you get to Pennsylvania, your ass is rethinking it. But then to go on to DC, that's another 4 hours, right?
Yeah, yes. And the thing about it, that he's the mechanic that's going to be working on my bike.
Oh, God, yeah. Well,
he's the most respected guy out here. He's last of the original gangster kind of old school bikers that works on one bike at a time, and which is not a dealership.
Yeah.
Not a thing. Here's a guy that's
just
sort of my other old guy that used to have a cigarette in his mouth with gasoline and solvents around. He's last of the old guys that actually explains stuff to you and everything. And so that's a future project because he's going to work on my rear light system that I had ideas on. Going to clean it up, light it up with LEDs.
Ooh.
And because, again, lighting, we
Be
differ about
seen.
lighting. Lighting, it be seen. And I found out when I did a ride with the chapter, we did a 250-mile ride, and the tail gunner came up to me and he said, "Sensei, you're riding well, but I can't see you." What do you mean? Well, that little red light is an LED is okay, but it was tough when we were going into curves and through the tunnels and everything like that.
Light.
So I endeavored to be a project that I will be replacing everything in the back with LEDs and a more streamlined look in there. So
neat.
That's for a future notice there.
Yeah, and we're gonna let's tee up a few upcoming episode. I want to talk about Iron Butt. I want to talk about Hoka Hey. I'm sure, are you familiar with Hoka Hey? It's that's another motorcycle challenge where I think they do 10,000 miles or something like that, and
yeah,
it's some outrageous number. And then also one last thing, if you get a chance, take it. Well, I'll spoil it for you now, but. I was reading about the Cannonball Run earlier this year. Not the movie, the actual unsanctioned race that inspired the movie. This is the motorcycle record is currently held by Alex Jones. He set a benchmark of 32 hours and 52 minutes on a 2014 Yamaha FJR 1300. The bike was equipped with a 7-gallon auxiliary fuel tank, a radar detector, laser jammers, and additional lighting. Jones left the Red Ball Garage on October 17th, 2017 at 6:24 a.m. and arrived at the Portofino Hotel, that's in Redondo Beach, on October 18th, 2017, covering more than 2,800 miles with stops only to refuel. And
insane.
We'll move on, but they also use air crews to search ahead for police stops, and also, and this I talked to Scott about doing this. They use this is basically what I did when I went to Vegas without software, but they chart courses ahead of where the precipitation is least likely to be, so that you can get the best speed. Anyway. Definitely something to talk about in a future episode. So let's move on to the topic du jour, American MC. Now, This is a reality TV show. If you've been paying attention, this is our what we wanted to get into for our light fare on Sunday today. American MC is a reality TV show about a group of guys trying to start a motorcycle club. Actually, before I say anything else, if you came to me and said, Jay, there's a TV show, a reality show about a group of guys trying to start a motorcycle club, my first thought would be, without having seen it or knowing anything else, I would assume that it would have been critically panned and that motorcycle riders as a culture or people, let's say, would dislike it greatly and mock it. And I think it did not do critically well from what I can tell. Go ahead.
It really did not get good reviews.
Yeah, one season, 7 episodes, so we can assume that it was, it did not get picked up and continued. I became aware of it from Facebook by seeing clips of the show that were posted in motorcycle riding groups, and mostly were like, here's what's not to do, or, group of weekend warriors meets the Hells Angels, and we'll talk a little about. So that's how I became aware of the show, as well as the show's main character or the group's leader, a guy by the name of Tommy Baker, of which there is remarkably little
the Ice Cream Man from Hell.
Yeah, and there actually, side note, we're not going to get derailed on this. There was another Ice Cream Man from Hell in motorcycle culture. I don't know much about this guy either, but that predates Tommy and the American MC. I don't know if that's true, but I read about that earlier today. So how did you find the show? Because I had already seen these clips. We hadn't talked about it. And then you came to me and said, you got to see this. And that's what led us here. So how did you find it?
You know what? I think it was just by accident, to be honest with you. It was just purely on a Fire Stick. I was just kind of like putzing around with it. And I came across it and I said, yeah, why not? And then initially I saw the reviews. I said, this is, punk. This is crap. I said, you know what? I'll watch it on my own. The missus doesn't have to watch it.
Yeah.
And I started watching it, and I could relate to I started watching it, rewatch it because I think I caught it in later episodes. So then I went back to the beginning, how they started their journey,
Yeah.
and each character you get introduced to was people I could feel for. I knew I met guys like that.
Yeah.
I rode with
Relatable.
guys like that. I knew, and so it was interesting how it was all these guys getting together with different walks of life, different professions, different writing skills, and everything. So okay, sounds like fun.
Right.
But now when they're suddenly driven to take it to a higher level, now it comes that whole group dynamics that we say, well, I don't want to be a, I just want to ride.
It gets tested.
And now it gets really tested. Now the leader, I think, yeah, he was the typical president wannabe that this is the way we got to do it. I think we got to do it,
Yeah.
And you saw the different guys there, that how they were interacting with him, not challenging him, but like said, well, he's crazy, let's go along with him. It's only until when they finally meet the Hells Angels that it finally meets, Hells Angels really put them to say, put on your big boy panties, and if you really want to do this is what you got to do. And that's what really made rubber meets the road, because one guy you could see, I don't enjoy riding 75 miles an hour, 6 inches from the guy's rear tire.
Yeah.
And I'm cheek to cheek with this guy where in seconds you'll be dead.
Yeah.
And it really became a sense of ego, testosterone, who's got bigger balls than the next guy. And I respected a lot more the guy. One guy said, you know what? It's not for me.
Yeah.
I want to enjoy riding. I don't want to die. I got family and kids. While the other man says, okay, it raises your level. So it was interesting how they were adapting to that concept. Now, going to the motorcycle club, like one guy says, I don't want to get my ass kicked by these guys. I want to do this right and everything.
Yeah.
And it's that culture that I was trying to tell you a while back, that people just can't put an MC on there and say, start it. There's rules.
Yeah.
There's rules nationally, whether they're written down or not, and that everybody, even here from the New York area all the way across, subscribe to and address to if you don't want any issue. Now, is it a code? Is it a lifestyle? Is it all of the above? Yes.
Yeah.
And it's a respect that you have a fear of that.
And this is why this show is interesting, and for at least one of the reasons why it appealed to me is exactly what you're describing, which is this is a group of guys attempting to start a motorcycle club. And if you are a motorcycle rider, I think of any reasonable duration, you probably have become aware, either because you sought it out or indirectly, that you see the riders on the weekends, they have different jackets, you start to ask questions, and you understand what an MC is versus what a charity group is versus what a 1%er motorcycle club versus like a veterans motorcycle club. And ultimately, at the bottom of all this, and we talked about it before, is that the 1%er motorcycle clubs in America make the rules for everybody else. And you either follow them or you run the risk of running afoul of these guys. And we can talk about that. But that's, without debating that's the world that you ride in here. So one of the things that appealed to me was, I want to see I would personally never do this. Like, I would never do what these guys are trying to do for a variety of reasons, ranging from my willingness, my ability, and not wanting to run the risk. Plus, and this is an opinion, there are a lot of people in established clubs who would say, you don't need to start a new club in a place where there are already 95 clubs. Like, you really should be able to find people you can relate with. And, why don't you try that first before you go out and charter a new group? And I think that's good advice. But at any rate, these guys are choosing to do it. So I think when I watched 4 episodes last night and I came out of my bat cave here, and my wife asked me how it was, and I really couldn't answer her straight, because on the one hand, it was sort of cringy in what you would expect that writers might mock. On the other hand, and I found it incredibly relatable, like what you said. Some of the guys are obviously obnoxious assholes. And you're going to find that in any group of 20 people, right? There's going to be some people that put you off. But a lot of them are very relatable, and they're very understandable in terms of, like, they're realistic in that this is the same kind of stuff I would be concerned with. It's worth watching the whole episodes, because they, while you see a lot of it in the clips, they do get into some of the personal backstories of the individuals, which helps you understand when you see those clips that are only a few minutes, then you understand the people's motivation. And to your point earlier, some of these guys are all in. Like there's one guy who's a bike builder, and he says straight up, he's a custom bike builder, and he says in this series, and I'm kind of scatterbraining around, but these guys, as they start the MC a little ways into it, they're in Arizona, and they become aware of the Florence Prison Run. That's an annual run famously sponsored by the Hells Angels, and they decide that they're going to go do it. At the same time, some Hells Angels walk into the bar, and the groups meet each other, and it's interesting. And the reason why the show is appealing is because I don't like, most people don't go into bars where there are, 1%er clubs hanging out and then go up and talk to them and then go ride with them. So these guys are giving you a window into seeing what happens when you do that, which I think is interesting.
Right. Yeah, I found that the president of that specific chapter, I had to take it tongue in cheek because remember, cameras are on this guy.
Yeah,
this guy. I wonder. He was smiling,
dude. If you look up shit-eating grin in a dictionary, that guy's face has got to be next to it, because he was like, "Let's see what happens."
Really, you looked at the guy. He had the most pleasant look. His hair was nice.
He had that leather. Remember that? He had that leather riding helmet.
Yeah. And I was just saying, kept on saying, because the way when his lieutenant or the other sergeant at arms who said, "Where'd you get that patch?"
Yeah.
And our other guys was like, well, so and so gave it to me. He says, no, he didn't. I think you got to talk to my president.
Yeah.
And you could see that guy was a little bit more serious and more. You had a violation. While the president, he had this like really pleasant looks, and I always would have wondered, obviously, if the cameras were not rolling,
what would happen? Yeah, well, that's a good question. I wondered how much that scene was produced, and what we're talking about is there's a scene when they're riding with the Hells Angels that they are stopping for gas, and their ice cream man from hell is the patch and club name that this group adopts. I don't fully understand why, and it's not worth spending a lot of time on. But there's some flames and redness in it, and there are a couple of things that organized motorcycle MCs will get pissed off about, and that's if you're calling yourself an MC and you're not recognized by other MCs. If you're traveling through a state and you're calling yourself an MC and you haven't talked to other groups in the area to say, hey, I'm coming through. And I know this may sound crazy to some people, but just stay with me. And if you haven't approached most states, and there's a state level and national level organization of MCs, and you can find your way there, and that's how you're supposed to approach. So if you're wearing gear and you haven't crossed any of those, check those boxes. And it seemed to me like, I don't know how produced it was, but it seemed to me like almost like the Hells Angels guys were trying to do him a favor in the form of, I'm going to show you exactly why you're in over your head right now with the shit that you're wearing and what you need to be thinking about instead of what you're putting on your back. And I thought they did a pretty good job of it.
He did succinctly, shortly explain it very well. Like one guy walked back to their group and says, I don't want to get my ass kicked.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, not to digress from that, but umpteen years ago, I think I shared a story that will just keep it very simple, that where I had run in with a certain branch group of 1%ers that in a certain area, and I had a
where were you when this happened? What, like a bar, restaurant? What was the?
It was like a Nathan's, park. Everybody meets there on a certain night and kicking tires around, take a look. And I was wearing a certain jacket, and a certain group of, I'll just leave them alone as far as 1%ers came in, and they came over to me and a certain relative that was with me, and said I should take off the jacket because it wasn't in conformance with their rules and regulations. Now, one, you could either say F you.
Yeah.
Two, you could either count the bodies that are there and say, well, this is not going to go down well.
Yeah.
Or three, you just nod and smile and tell the guy, as I did, to say, that's an excellent point. I think it's too hot. I think I will take it off.
Yeah.
And I took it off, and I avoided the conflict, and they walked back.
Smart move.
About themselves, which then made you realize, should I be careful about that? And discretion was good in that area, because then they were joined by 10 others of their various group, because it was a rallying point that they were going to meet another 1% group, and they had some issues with them. So you never know. when you bump into groups for what reason, whatever reason, whether it's testosterone, whether the probie, he's got to go up to you and he's got to prove himself. So,
Yeah, don't be somebody's example, right?
And I had been riding for many, many years by myself. Never ride. And then one day I showed up at a diner and I see people in the parking lot. I had no idea whether they're an MC, 1%, no freaking clue.
Right.
They had bikes.
Right.
That was my thing.
Yeah.
And they left. By the time I got there, I was getting to the diner. One guy was left in the parking lot. And I asked him, hey, wow, that's cool. He looked at me and all he said was, you want to join the Hog chapter? What's Hog? You'll find out.
Yeah.
Every Sunday here at the diner. And almost 30 years later, I've been
the rest
going
is
to
history, right?
Diner.
Yeah, that's a really
how
cool
it started.
story.
I had no
I never heard that story
alone.
before. Yeah.
I rode alone.
Yeah.
I never ride. That was my introduction to Hog by a guy saying, come here on a Sunday.
Yeah.
Have breakfast with us and ride.
And these are,
Okay.
and that's part of cracking the code and riding, I ride alone a lot too, but every group, like I am apprehensive of groups partly because I know how serious the rules and codes and social structures of different groups, be it a 1%er MC or, even I live in an area, I live in San Diego, and there's, a massive population of retired and active military in this area, first responders. It is a mecca. And so there are tons of military first responder groups. Now, these are not 1% motorcycle clubs, but these are groups that have, serious structures, and we could talk more about that. But at any rate, it's, you got to know what you're getting into. And I know a lot of people listening to this might think, that, you can't wear this, or you got to talk to this club leader. It seems foolish, but this is the really important point. And it is, people who don't understand, like, well, and you see this like in motorcycle riders, there's also two schools of thoughts. There's guys, and they usually tend to ride sports bikes, who think like, fuck those rules and any of that crap. And I don't, and I shouldn't just say sports bikes, but I'm making a joke. But here's the reality. And I've said this before on the show. What we said before is true in the sense that 1% motorcycle clubs make the rules, and if you want to play, you got to play by the rules. If you don't, you run the risk of what might happen. And what might happen is that it's not uncommon for people in that world to come across somebody who's, like you said, who's wearing the wrong color jacket, who does something wrong, and they might just kick the shit out of you. Or worse, or whatever. And it's not like, what we're saying is that's not an exaggeration. And I'm not trying to say it to be sensationalized. It's, the people who make those rules, I could have said this more succinctly. The people who make the rules do enforce them, and it's up to you as to whether or not, it's very simple to not run afoul of them. There are very few simple things you can do. So at any rate, watching these guys in the show, back to American MC, getting to kind of walk along these lines, and they talk about it too. It was very interesting. It gave you a window into seeing what it's like to mix.
Yeah.
It also gives you a window into seeing, the speed at which they ride. They talked about it, and before I babble too long, one of the things that really
that's very scary.
Yeah.
Very, very scary. I mean, I rode in a charity run. I was asked to be a photographer for a certain group, and they said I could ride with them. And it was an honor for that, because as a photographer, I was able to take pictures of the president and, all these guys. And they said, all right. And we're going to a benefit. And the guy says, almost similar to what the Hells Angel guy said to that group. He said, if you can ride hard, you can stand up, you can ride,
stay up and keep up.
He said,
then,
if you can keep up, you can stand up, that kind of thing.
Up. Yeah.
And that's when I really saw that it was terrifying. It was terrifying because when you have a close-knit group that can ride in a formation,
right,
and that wingman knows exactly that other guy is on your parallel to you and riding to you, that takes a lot of confidence.
It takes miles to get there too, and that's
it takes it like that. I hung in there, but I said I'll never do that again.
Yeah, it's
never
safe to say without spoiling too much of the show, the first few episodes largely there's a number of plot lines, we'll say, but the biggest plot line is them encountering the Hells Angels and then wanting to go on the Florence prison run with them. And they have to travel to the location of the prison run. So the Hells Angels throw the gauntlet down in the form of, hey, if you can stay up, you can keep up, or something like that. And so now, one of the things that struck me, I'll work backwards. I'll cut to the chase. So these guys end up going through twisty canyons, and not everybody has a good time. There's mistakes are made, things like that. They're not sure if the Hells Angels are going to stop when they see him to let them join, or if they have to be ready and just go. And the guys correctly conclude that, like he said, if you can keep up, then you can stay up. He's like, I don't think they're going to stop. And sure enough, they come right by, and they race off with them. So the ride is not without its share of dust-ups. But at the end of the day, most of these 16 or 17 guys ride 95 to 100 plus miles an hour, shoulder to shoulder, with their club and the Hells Angels through these twisty-ass canyons. And like a hard ride, and it doesn't look like they faked it or produced. It looks like they did it. So
no.
Whatever you say about the show, and whatever you say about those guys, like I know as a rider, and I'm sure you do, like that was not like they stayed up, which was I thought really impressive.
You couldn't stage that. I mean, it's not like you had 20 stunt people.
Yeah, the Hells Angels aren't going to fake it, right? So
they're not going to fake it. And look at the one guy who did go down.
Yeah.
The one guy, there they are traveling at a high rate of speed at night.
Yeah.
At night. And that guy, he judged his distance wrong. He hit the other guy's either fender, I believe.
Fender, yeah.
He wobbled. I was surprised that the guy was still, I mean, a testament to him holding it up.
Yeah.
But, look.
But I just interrupt you for a second. That they hit the nail on that when they talked about that later, and one of the guys broke that down. This is why I find the show interesting, is because amidst all the other stuff, there are conversations about real life shit that you deal with when you're riding. And one of the guys said, like, look, when you're in a pack in a group and you have that one guy who, as soon as you get going, always like starts to take off and gets away from the group, that guy immediately sends a message to everybody else that this is a fucking free-for-all. And then little by little, people start to peel away and break up. And that's what happened last night. You got people going at all different rates of speed, and you end up... And that, to me, like, that's one of the reasons that... And I know this was just, the one group I was riding with, but that's exactly the reason why I told those guys to fuck off and went on my own one day, because it's like they make up rules, but then every time you get out on the road... It's a constant fucking game of squeezing and expanding and not crashing into each other. I can fucking do that on my own.
Yeah.
So
you're right. But
I thought it was really interesting how they broke that down. And additionally, the speed was an issue for a number of the guys who said, look, I don't want to ride. They got 2 speeding tickets at one point, and that was another point they made. One of the guys like, look, every time I hang out with you, I get a fucking speeding ticket, and that matters in Arizona, right? So, I thought
I like
that
the guy.
Interesting.
I like the guy says, Tommy Baker, I got a gun. Oh, okay.
Tells the cop, yeah. That was like, and there are some... And I am deliberately, if anybody's wondering, I am deliberately kind of skipping over some of the dumber, obnoxious things that were stupid, like having them like, and I'm not a gun or anti-gun, but having people like showing them like almost shooting somebody in the head, like, and shooting himself in the head, like that should have been a moment where, but anyway, that kind of stuff is dumb. Like I'm not all the way through the show, so we've moved on now where. I'm at a point where they finished the Florence prison run and they're moving on to whatever's next. So I'm interested to see what happens there, because they're going to arrive in Arizona Bike Week, where they hook up with Gary Busey and Brian Bosworth, who are 2 interesting characters. So we'll have to see
I saw that episode, so I'll just
all right. So don't spoil it for me. But again,
let's move on.
If you get a chance to watch it, I definitely recommend you check it out. So we'll talk more as we go as we get into as I finish the series. But first, before we're getting close to the end of the show here, so we can wrap up in a minute. But before we do, I want to go live right now to Eddie, who is on the road and making her way north back through the hurricane. And I guess the rain has picked up. I'm not 100% sure. Let's go to
It's sunny right here in New York.
Well, let's go live to Eddie. Eddie, what's the weather where you're at?
It's raining sideways.
Well, do you have an umbrella or something like that?
Had one.
All right, well, where is it?
Inside out, 2 miles away.
All right, is there anything me and Carlos can do get for you?
Bring me some soup.
What kind do you want?
Chunky.
All right, Eddie. Good luck. We hope that you you make it back in the rain. And again, you know, there's Eddie is for those worried, Eddie is an experienced and tenured rain rider. And I did say, like, I don't know, Carlos, if this is like, you know, like parental or fraternal or whatever you want to call it, but when I messaged with her before the show, I was like, please post something when you get home so we know you made it. We know you made it home alive, right? All right. Well, with that, we're gonna wrap things up here for episode 21, American MC. I look forward to finishing the show this afternoon as I continue to nest here in the new studios. As you can see behind us, Carlos, the garage.
Yes, tell us.
The garage door is the last piece. It was supposed to go in last week. But it wasn't ready yet. So that's going in this week. For now, I have a tarp, and then there's also a screen on the other, like one of those full garage screens. So my security system is a tarp, a screen. I have a Ring camera that's tied to the alarm that talks if somebody walks in the garage. And then, my 16-year-old son who's, you know, ready to, rage at anybody who tries to intrude the house. So that's and Larry who will bark. So until Wednesday, that's my security.
Excellent. Looks beautiful. Looks great. I see the two rides in the background there with the
I don't know if I can move this a little bit.
The high bars there. You know, what projects are in line for them?
Yeah, so I got the red bike here. That is a new 100cc two-stroke engine that I mounted to the frame and chained up. And now I think I need to take a link out of the motor chain because it's a little tight. And then we got to replace the pedals that were on the bike are too narrow to allow for pedaling with the space of the motor. So I had to go out to the scrap pile in the back and find some a pair of pedals that are beach cruisers are nice and wide. I'll put those on there. And then hopefully this guy should be good to go. I have a second motor that I think I pretty much junked. I broke the motor mount, broke off the engine block, and this is like that. The engine block crack, and this is cheap Chinese steel, is not worth trying to fix. So that's going to be what we got going on. But you know, I'm getting the tools organized and everything, and it's coming along little by little. I hung my own blinds last night, so yeah, it's coming along pretty well.
What future projects do you have on your own baby there? You got that nice tank on there. You enjoying the extra mileage? Any new projects on that?
So a couple of things real quick. I took my windshield off, and this isn't really a project, but I'm in the market. I will probably just put it back on, but I'm also looking at maybe getting a smaller windshield that's not quite as much plastic out or acrylic out in front of me. In addition to that, I'm told that I have my last visit to the maintenance shop. They told me that I have and I have it written down here, but I think my header, one of my header seals is starting to go. And they said they could tell by looking down inside that there was like a little bit of white liquid or something like that. And they told me before I went to do the Sturgis run that, like, you know, not something I got to do right away, but maybe the next time, you know, a few thousand miles, next time you come in, you should get it replaced. So that's something I've got to look into and what goes into that. And lastly, the muffler. I have currently a Thunderheader 2-in-1, but I'm battling rust damage that's gotten into it's pitted, it's gotten into the metal itself. So, you know, basically what I'm doing now is cosmetic and fighting time. So I got to look at something different there that's going to do well in salt air. I'm, you know, half a mile from the beach, so I need something that's not going to rust right away. I like those pipes.
I want to show you something in here. I don't know if you can see that.
I can, yeah, we can see it, yeah.
You see now, you see that? It's like on the Lazy Susan.
Yeah. Oh, I got to get one of those. You can spin it around.
Yeah, and it's a working process because if you don't do it quite right.
Yeah, I got you.
So we finally have it elevated, and it's interesting getting at the right middle. And there it is. It's suspended front tire and rear tire there.
So let me embarrass myself by throwing a stupid idea out. I was thinking about this the other day. Like, if you're trying to ensure that you're keeping a bike stable on a mount, and I was looking at the space in the garage, wouldn't it make sense, like, if you could anchor like two, if you could anchor a couple of U-bolts in the ceiling above it, why not just have like a chain or a strap going up to two U-bolts that would ensure the bike doesn't tip, and almost like it's hanging but not hanging. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you know what? There's many restraining systems that are on these mounts there that do use clamps there
Right.
before you can move it around. In this case, I didn't use any. It's basically a jack, and then on a solid steel dolly.
Oh, I got
Very-
you. Okay.
With very strong.
They
wheels.
sell something like that now
You know,
on
and that's what-
Instagram. Have you seen it? They sell it. You're ahead of your time because I've seen a product that they actually sell where it's like a jack, and then you can pick the bike up and move it around the garage. Like,
Yep,
to store
and
it.
it's just an interesting thing. I just wanted to.
Yeah,
This is
very cool.
the shield here. This is a tinted shield that was added on there. The type of mirrors there that really part of the black motif
Yeah,
there. You know, installed the backrest there to help out.
Nice.
You know, we got our front fork bag and cell phone holder there, and you can see
I like that.
the little for carrying water supplies there. You know, and this is very good. I have two actually.
Yeah, I
I
don't
got
have the
on both
bar to
sides,
mount
and
that
then
to, but I
here,
think I
really
like that.
cool.
Oh, luggage rack.
And
That's
you
nice.
see then that black belt. I love. It's nice, and this my project is this.
Oh yeah.
Everything LED. So the LED, and this will be also replaced also as well. So
Beautiful.
that's a future project that we will be sharing down the road.
I can't.
Whenever the guy finishes Shanksville, Pentagon, and World Trade Center ride.
Yeah, after he
And with
naps
that,
a bit
Bob-
from that, I look forward to seeing the progress, man, as it evolves. It looks absolutely beautiful, and congratulations again. Thank you again for taking time out of your Sunday afternoon. I hope the weather there gets a little bit better, and that hurricane stays to the northeast of you, and hopefully you guys stay dry.
Yep. I hope everything else well. It's drying up, so let's enjoy the rest of the day.
Cheers. Have a great weekend, Sensei. It was awesome seeing you as always. Ride safe. We'll talk to you soon. Take care.
Take care. Be good. Thanks again. Let's hear
Cheers.
that music.
Adios. Have a good one. Thanks, everyone. Take care.